Hey gang, Uncle Todd here again. Looking at the latest episode of Criminal Minds Evolution. I gotta admit, at first, I was a little disappointed. It was looking like... do you remember a show called Murder One, where the premise was it was following a law firm through a Murder One case throughout the whole season? That would be what the focus was, this one case. But then after the first few episodes, that case kind of took a backseat to other cases until you got towards the end of the season. And that's what I thought they were doing here with Criminal Minds, because it looked like they were getting involved in a new case that was not connected with the serial killer network, and there would just be brief points in the episode where their search for the Sicarius was getting highlighted, but it was not the focus of the show, and it turned out I was wrong. Interesting startup. The deputy director, who's been very much a nemesis and thorn in their side, is wanting to get involved in a new case in which two women have been found, their hair dyed blonde, strangled, and bite marks all over their bodies. Bite marks made by some kind of metal tooth attachment. And it turns out the deputy director had been involved with one of the victims at a time, and it's kind of embarrassing, especially considering they met through this special app that only certain people have. It has a lot of important people there, and this could be politically embarrassing. And Prentice uses this as leverage to get him to back off from the BAU, which he agrees, although she knows, as we the audience knows, as soon as it becomes expedient for him, he'll break away from that agreement. And their investigation leads to a high-end call girl, escort, shall we say, who had reported to the hospital a few years ago. She had had these massive bite marks all over her body, and they have postulated that this is an escalation from that. But she's not talking because this person has so much political connection that they had someone at the hospital before the police, and she's not saying anything. She's too scared. But given the personalities of the women that were attacked, and the blonde, and the dyeing the hair blonde, they realize this could be a mother fixation, and this leads them to a specific senator and her son. Matters are made worse when a new victim pops up, and all the drop sites are next to property the senator owns, but this is not property that's known to the public she owns, hence the son. And then the son's assistant shows up saying he did it all, but there's evidence he couldn't have done the drop sites. Oh, and he just happens to have the teeth in his car. How convenient. But he's not talking unless he gets full immunity. Realizing this is a ruse to sidetrack them, Garcia locates the escort through her phone. And they race there, and they find that the senator's son is there, and he has a gun on him, so they arrest him. But before they can really get any pushing evidence against him, the senator shows up with a lawyer. And she tells Prentice and the deputy director that unless they drop all charges, she will call some of her friends on the finance committee and get all their funding pulled. Prentice leaves this decision up to the deputy director, reminding him of his connection to one of the victims, but he caves, as you do when you're a political weasel. And the son is taken home by his mother when Sakaris shows up. Turns out, right before he was arrested, when the FBI showed up, the son had sent a 911 text to Sakaris. This was part of their agreement. And he shows up and basically with a gun forces the senator to give in to what the son wants, which basically he kills her and bites her with his own teeth. When the body's found, the deputy director is sickened, as you are. And Prentice pushes him. Basically, if you don't want your face plastered all over the morning papers, don't get in my way. Now, when they had him in custody, he had mentioned a lot of the people that were found in Sakaris's container, not public knowledge. He then gives them some coordinates about, what they might find something interesting there. Garcia is able to track them. They're going to that location. Lewis realizes that the senator's son might actually just be a patsy, and that has AJ and Alves head towards that location. With the help of the guy who was infiltrating, Garcia manages to get into the app that everyone in the Beltway was using, which is what the senator's son, who had founded the app, was using to pick its victims, and also was using it as a private backdoor into Sakaris where they could have private conversations. But somehow Sakaris is alerted to this, and the whole thing gets wiped right in front of them with a taunting message, F you. Well, Pinus and Alvarez arrive, and they find a storm cellar. Going down into it, and it looks very much like the first container they discovered. And there's a bomb. And as they rush to get out, their connection to the BAU is severed, and it's to be continued. Oh, and to make matters worse, we're not going to get a new episode until mid-January. Ooh. Making us wait a month to see what happens. God, I hate that. Kudos on the build-up of suspense, though, I gotta admit. There's some interesting personal moments here. JJ found out her husband is not getting cancer. It's something else, and it is treatable with medicine. But this has caused them to come to an agreement that they're not going to hide things from each other anymore, especially like JJ not telling him when she's going into dangerous situations. Which, towards the end of the episode, she immediately breaks when she calls him and can't bring herself to tell him she might be heading into a dangerous situation, and just says she loves him. And they pinky swore on it, too. Also, Garcia and the infiltrator come to a better understanding. When they started out, they were just sniping at each other, but it got to the point where Garcia was refusing to even be in the same room with him, and then he had to apologize, in which, in the aww moment of the series, he brings her a rescue kitty. Aww. Yes, not as good as you. That's true. Of course, you're not a rescue kitty. You just showed up. What? Oh, yes. Cats choose their people. I know. Thank you for reminding me. But, yeah, another good episode. As I said, at first I was a little disappointed because I thought they were going to be spreading things out and just doing other cases. But it all tied up together, and I'm curious to see if Sicarius killed the senator's son, since he doesn't really seem to have much of a leverage to get him to kill himself. But we'll have to wait next month to see. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.